Thank you, Phyllis. That was beautiful. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Bloomington. Please stand and let's join our voices together in singing our first song of the day.
There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. At least 100 ways for me to receive. I embrace my good and I do believe. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. At least 100 ways for me to believe. And countless blessings that I now receive. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. My good is coming to me. My good is coming to me.
All right, thank you. Everyone, let's take a few minutes, greet our neighbors, but when you hear the music, come back so we can sing our second song. Good to see everyone.
Good morning.
I love your hair.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
Thank you. You can be seated, please.
Yeah. Have a seat. Settle in. Allow yourself to just be here. Now you can decide if you want to leave some things outside and pick them up a little bit later, or if you want to bring everything into this place and this time. Either way, take advantage of our coming together into a spirit of oneness, of absolute goodness. We've come together as Unity of Bloomington. We come together with other Unity churches. We come together with all churches, all spiritual traditions. We've come together into temples and mosques and sacred circles and stupas. Here we are, open and receptive to God's living Spirit and celebrating this spiritual community. We have, this is our mission statement for this community. Let's declare it together. We are Unity of Bloomington, a heart-centered community seeking spiritual awakening and transformation. We are deepening connections with God, self, and others, and attracting our next right minister. This is my next to last Sunday with you. You know, I've been doing this interim ministry for more than 10 years, and far and away the most difficult part of any of it is saying goodbye to people and situations that have really touched me. So this is hard. If I had it my way, I would just disappear without saying anything, okay? Because the feelings are a little uncomfortable. But we need to be honest about who we are. We need to be honest about what's happening and how we feel. That makes a difference in our lives. We need to be honest about what's happening as a community. And I've been meaning to do a talk about giving, about finances. This is the dreaded talk, okay? But what I'm doing is I'm debunking a lot of stuff that churches have said to abuse people and to misuse certain teachings. What's the next thing? So, going to do a scripture lesson today. Different churches emphasize different scriptures. Unity has its favorites. It said that Thomas Jefferson took his Bible and cut out everything that he didn't like. And so there were lots of holes in the pages in his Bible. But you know, there's one verse that virtually all churches use. And all synagogues. It's probably the most used scripture verse in the entire Bible. Bring your tithes into the storehouse. Malachi 3:10. Churches are always asking for money. Or sometimes they don't ask for money. Sometimes they demand it. You know, this verse is kind of demanding that way. It starts off with God saying, "You are cursed. You're robbing me. All of you." Wow. How inspiring, huh? He said, "Bring the full tithe into the storehouse so there may be food. Put me to the test," it says. Bring in the full tithe and see that the windows of heaven will open for you and pour down an overflowing blessing, showers of blessings. Well, I think that sounds good. Sometimes it's hard to tell. The windows of heaven will open and pour out a shower of blessings. The tithe has been used to beat people up for a long time. A lot of times it was imposed. It was a church tax. People were required to do it. Not so much anymore with the separation of church and state. But in a lot of traditions, it's imposed. In some traditions, members of the church are required, expected, usually required, to bring their tax returns to the finance committee and be told how much they're expected to give for the year. How inspiring, huh? Okay, and that still goes on today. My mother would send me and my brother to Sunday school at the local Lutheran church, but she kind of had to register or get connected with the church, and she would go once in a while. But mainly the object was to get me and my brother out of the house on Sunday mornings. And then when the finance committee came and visited her with the pledge cards, she decided she was never going back. A lot of people are abused by the financial policies of churches that are sometimes very heavy-handed. The tithe practice is imposed on a lot of conservative congregations. They're expected to give 10% of their income off the top because it's God's commandment. You're robbing God if you don't do it. Well, attitudes like that cost them attendance because a lot of people stopped going because of that. Sometimes churches get heavy-handed because finances are tight. We don't do that in Unity. Well, sometimes we have pledge campaigns. What we do in Unity is a church will bring in a charismatic prosperity teacher to get people all excited about the possibility of prosperity, and all you have to do is to tithe. And so they get people to tithe, usually on that day during the workshop, because they get 90% of it as their fee. It's outrageous. It's outrageous, and you've done that here. Tithing doesn't work. Usually. Sometimes it does. It's used oftentimes as magic. You do this and magically your finances will turn around. Somehow the windows of heaven are going to open and rain down prosperity on you. Now that's an old, superstitious, outdated idea that is still present within Unity churches. There's the 4T program. There's a tithing of your time, talent, treasure. Very popular in Unity. And you're supposed to tithe everything to the church. 10% to the church. And what is it, 7 weeks, 10 weeks? I forget exactly what it is. But there's a money-back guarantee. If your life doesn't change, all of the money that you've given to the church will be refunded to you. People are usually too shy, embarrassed to ask for their money back. A couple times people do, but instead of asking for their money back because it hasn't worked, they stop coming to church. Because tithing does not work magically. Tithing is a spiritual practice. We say it's an advanced spiritual practice. That's a little way of manipulating it. Oh, you want the advanced teachings? Let me tell you about tithing. Okay? That's just a disguised way of being manipulated. But sometimes it really does work like magic. Because when we open ourselves to receive, sometimes wonderful things happen. Some people call it the free introductory offer. Okay? And it gets our attention. As Unity Truth students, we don't automatically follow tradition or convention or what some self-established authorities have set up as something that we should do. We want to understand the principle. We want to know why something works. The windows of heaven. Up there? No. The windows of heaven are in here. They're inside. There's something that we can do to make that connection with the presence of God, the presence of infinite wisdom and power within us to open those windows. And when we do that, we notice that showers of blessings are always around. It's always raining blessings if we notice them. Because that's the nature of ultimate reality. The nature of God is absolute goodness, continually flowing, giving to us. And we are sometimes too caught up with ourselves to notice what's available for us to receive. Intentional giving creates a consciousness of connection with the divine. That's what the key to prosperity. That's the key to healing. That's the key to any kind of manifestation, is to first of all be connected with God. Be connected with an unconditional flow of goodness. So, ideally, intentional giving and even tithing creates a consciousness of abundance, a consciousness of participation in creativity. That's central to overcoming culture and traditions. Central to overcoming past abuse. Now, churches need revenue. They depend on donations. Unity churches don't manipulate people as much as some other unity churches, some other denominations. They teach giving and receiving. Unity churches generally give a percentage of their budget to giving, intentional giving. Some churches tithe. They give 10% of their income. Because if we're going to invite people to do it in the community should model it. That makes sense. There have been unity churches that have had, I hate to admit it, but have had financial problems, and what they've said, we just have to tithe more. And they would have been bankrupt. Tithing into bankruptcy. That's believing in magic. That's not being aligned with spiritual principles. Okay? Because we have to be realistic. We have to be honest. We have to have our eyes open and feet flat on the ground here. And believe in abundance. And then there are some churches that say, we can't afford to tithe. We can't pay the bills. How can we give some money away to other organizations, either to local charities or to Unity Worldwide or Unity School? Now, that's a really valid question. If you can't pay your bills, how can you give something away? It's not about how much you give, it's about how you give. It's about the attitude with which it is given. So, you know, the story of the widow who only put a couple pennies in the offering, and that was acknowledged to be more valuable than the huge amount of money that a rich person put in because they didn't even notice it. It's the attitude of connecting with the divine. It's the attitude of opening the heart to be generous. I said last week, consider what it takes to feel generous. Whether it's a tip at a restaurant or something that you're given to some panhandler on the corner, or to what you're giving to a charity or to a church. We have to overcome a misconception that we live in the middle of here in the United States, here in Western civilization. And that idea is scarcity. Economists have told us that this is the truth. This is the absolute way things are. There just is not enough of everything. And so supply and demand are going to affect price and availability, and well, you can see where that idea might grow out of a culture that grew in the frozen north. Cold weathers. Indigenous tropical cultures don't believe in scarcity. Spiritual traditions don't affirm scarcity. There's a celebration of abundance. And so the nature of the divine is abundance, and scarcity contradicts that. And so we have to watch out for the ideas and the practices that would cause some interference with our being aligned with absolute goodness, a channel of goodness to allow creativity and abundance to flow through us and bless us in the process. So we rely on consciousness as Unity churches. We rely on the consciousness of the people that attend to support the church, a consciousness of gratitude because you get something by coming to a Unity church. The consciousness of generativity because Unity churches make a difference. Somebody questioned whether or not Unity churches make a difference in the world. Well, they do. And if something's making a difference in the world, isn't that worth supporting? That's what the flow of infinite goodness does. It supports more goodness. That's called generativity. The consciousness of abundance and personal power is central to living well, central to prosperity. So, do you have it? You have open windows of heaven within you. If you have it, you get more. Do you have the awareness that showers of blessings are available? If you don't, you're going to lose. There's a strange verse that has been attributed to Jesus 4 times in the Gospels. To those who have, even more will be given, and they will have abundance. But from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away. Now, he uses a lot of parables that don't make a lot of sense sometimes in the tradition of like the Zen koans, the Buddhist riddles. Them that's got shall get, them that's not shall lose. Yeah. Well, what that have what? This was about spiritual understanding, not money. Although, if someone starts off with money, they're more likely to be prosperous than someone who doesn't. Socioeconomic status does affect prosperity. So does luck. So does hard work. And so does consciousness. To those who have, more will be given. From those who have nothing, even more will be taken away. Here's a restatement of that from the Gospel of Thomas that didn't make it into the Bible, but it's part of the Dead Sea Scrolls. If you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. If you do not have that within you, what you do not have within you will kill you. Ooh. What you have within will save you. What you do not have within will kill you. Where's your focus? Where is the focus? Is it on what you have or what you're missing? You focus on what you have, because the focus on what is missing is going to increase the sense of lack. Think about that for yourself. What do you have? What are you missing? And where's your attention? Okay.
Them that's got shall get, them that's not shall lose. So the Bible said, and it still is news. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Yes, the strong gets more, while the weak ones fade. Empty pockets don't ever make the grade. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Money, you got lots of friends crowding round the door. When you're good on spending ends, they don't come no more. Rich relations give crust of bread and such. You can help yourself, but don't help too much. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that got his own, that's got his own. Money, you got lots of friends crowding round your door. rich relations give, crust of bread and such. You can help yourself, but don't take too much. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own.
All right, Phyllis. You got your own? You know, it's about more than money. It's about the consciousness of abundance. Seb, go back one slide. It's an affirmation we've been using in one way or another for the last month or so. This is a good reminder of the truth. Let's declare this together. We are abundant beings living in an abundant universe. God is the source of our supply. We expect the best. We give our best. We now attract the best in every experience. That's true for us individually. That's true for us as a community. Abundance, the consciousness of abundance, the consciousness of connection is the key. That's what we got. That's what we need to have. The windows of heaven within and standing in the showers of blessings. Put the next couple. So I was playing around with the title earlier this week, and I thought, oh, magical methods for manifesting money. That's kind of edgy. And it's like, yeah, I'll talk about that. But there are mystical methods, too, that miraculously, surprisingly, when we follow prosperity teachings, we're surprised, we're astounded, because miracles are standard. Miracles come with a connection with the divine. But then there's some of the prosperity teachings that are mythical, that are wrong. And so, okay, I just started doing M's, okay? So magical, mystical, magical methods, anyway. So I've been talking about tithing, about giving. Now, I've been talking about the misuse of giving. That the practice of giving points to the consciousness of abundance, points to the consciousness of connection. Other techniques for prosperity are essentially the same techniques for manifesting things, for healing, for getting a sense of guidance and purpose. Besides connecting with God, be honest. Be honest about what you're feeling. Be honest about what's happening. Be honest about where you are instead of off somewhere else. And what if this and why not this? Have your eyes open and be where you are. Positivity and optimism, the power of thought, that's important. That also works, is essential. You can use it all by yourself. There are a lot of techniques with just focusing the mind with the imagination and with the emotions, and can make things happen, but then that's going over into the realm of magic. Magic, it means there's something that I can do. I can get some power together and make things happen. That's possible. Not a good long-term plan. Something else that's always included in any sort of blessing: forgiveness. Clean up the stuff from yesterday, whether it's regret for something that you did or didn't do, regret for something that was done or not done, or resentment for about what somebody else did or didn't do. That kind of energy distracts us from the possibility in the present. Forgiveness work's important. But you have to remember what you want to bring from the past, too. You want to claim the good, recognize the possibilities, the techniques that have worked that you want to preserve. Like we did whenever we did this healing the past, creating the future. There's certain things you want to say, that didn't work, we let it go. There are other things you want to say, we want to preserve, we want to build on that. That works for us individually too. And then we need to work. It's another factor in prosperity. Take action. Prosperity teachings. You know, there's a lot of anti-prosperity sentiment in the church world. Mainline Christianity is kind of arrogant or about prosperity teachings are not really spiritual. They point to wealthy televangelists, ministers or prosperity teachers that make an outrageous amount of money. Now, it's important that clergy gets paid, but in advising, the advice that I've heard that makes really the most sense about how much ministers should get paid in a church is at least as much as a school teacher, probably, hopefully as much as a school principal. I think that's a good guide. You know, when I first started at Unity, I was put off by the prosperity teachings. I was put off by wealthy televangelists, the idea of getting rich in spirituality. That just bothered me. And then people telling me, selling me a program that didn't feel right. So I'm very sensitive to people trying to control me. And sometimes I'm not very nice to salespeople. But I try to be nice. But anyway, I feel that with some of the prosperity principles because I feel like I'm being manipulated. And so that didn't sit right. And then the idea of prosperity at all didn't fit with where I was when I got into Unity as a yogi. I was into ascending, into raising my consciousness and disconnecting from this life in the material world. And I liked the idea of God within and meditation and unity. And unity was teaching about prosperity. Well, I don't need to pay attention to that. Well, I've come to recognize that that is really important because the prosperity teachings, well, if we're not going to focus on this world, why bother with healing? Why bother with prosperity teachings? The focus of Spirit is to improve our life here and now. The movement of Spirit is into the world, incarnation, healing, prospering, guiding. In the middle of the Great Depression, Charles Fillmore wrote a book. He didn't write very many books. Almost all the books that have him listed as an author are collections of little paragraphs that he wrote in meditation. He'd meditate and write down some things and toss it in a box, in a cigar box. His secretary, his second wife, Cora Dedrick Fillmore, was his secretary. She'd get all those together and she'd organize them, and then organize those books and all those different quotes and things into different chapters and into a book. That's why if you try to read most of Fillmore's books, it's really hard to follow what he's saying, because what he wrote was one paragraph at a time. So if you ever read Charles Fillmore, just read one paragraph at a time. But there was one book that he wrote intentionally as an entire book. That was Prosperity. He wrote that in the middle of the Great Depression because it was needed. And some of it was edgy. Some of it was outrageous. Probably the most outrageous thing he said, he may have regretted because it was taken wrong, but it is a sin to be poor. Whoa. That got a lot of people's attention in a negative way. It's like, where's the heart? Where's the compassion? Sometimes the principles that we say come across so strong that they need to be interpreted. His interpretation was that if you're poor, what you have is being taken away from you because you don't have something within that you need to get more. What you need is a sense of abundance. What you need is a consciousness of being connected with the divine, of being a channel of creativity and goodness. You've missed the mark. So that's his interpretation of them that's got shall get, them that's not shall lose. And throughout history, throughout all of human spirituality, well, most every spiritual tradition includes some sort of prosperity teachings, some sort of spiritual practice to make life better here. So they could be particular prayers or sacrifices or rituals or good luck charms of some sort, or stories about particular gods and goddesses. And all of them include the practice of giving. Because giving is a practice of aligning with the showers of blessings. That the divine is always giving, and as we give, we can align ourselves with that. If we give out of obligation, it doesn't work. If we give out of, I really can't now, if we give out of fear, it doesn't work. If we give out of a sense of generosity, generosity is an attitude. It can be a small gift, it can be a huge gift. Generosity is aligning with the generosity of spirit. If we give to a place that is doing God's work, that is multiplying the good in the world, it comes back to us. If we give out of a sense of gratitude, of receiving, it works. Now, just let me say something about the practice of tithing. Tithing is a practice that creates a tipping point in consciousness because it's offensive. 10% is a lot of money. Okay? It doesn't make sense. There's a reaction that comes up within us. And we need to look at that. Who's reacting? Okay? Sometimes 2% can cause that same reaction. So it's not about the amount. The practice of intentionally giving to a spiritual organization is a reminder that I am connected with God. It reminds us of our connection. It reminds us that goodness is flowing through us, that we are channels of the divine, that the windows of heaven are within us, and so we give to source, to places that bless us in gratitude. We give as source. We give as channels of the divine. I think that's most everything I have to say about that. You decide. The authority is within you. There's a lot of story, a lot of influence, a lot of pressure sometimes. Be honest about where you are. Be honest about what you have. Be honest about what you are, and from that, you be honest about what you can do out of generosity, out of generativity, out of alignment with grace. So I want you to consider that in a brief meditation. We're going to sing, I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. And that's going to take us to a place of being.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Continue with that awareness of blessing. Being in the showers of blessing. In spite of other things that may distract us or have us question that blessings, we are blessed. We are in showers of blessings. Let's be grateful. Thank you, God. grateful, blessed. The windows of heaven are open all around us. All around the world. The windows of heaven are open within us. Through everything going on in our lives, there is a shower of goodness, a flow of abundance, love, life, and peace. Blessed. Take a moment to be blessed. Receive it. Be blessed. Be grateful in the silence, in the pure being at the depth of your soul. Blessed. Blessed and a blessing. Right where we are. We're invited to be blessings, to be agents of goodness. To allow creativity and life and love and justice to move through us into the oneness that we are. Into that one presence and one power that we share, that is all good, absolute goodness. All good.
All good, holy, holy. All good, holy, holy. All in my mind, in my heart, in my soul, let me know all is good, holy, holy. All good, all love, holy, holy. All love, holy, holy. All in my
we know all is one. Holy, holy.
So it is. Holy, holy. All one. You have any prayer requests for the week, for yourself or for someone else? You might write it down on the prayer request card for our prayer ministry to hold you and your request in prayer. You have any feedback about today? Any questions? There's a form that you can put in the offering bag when it comes by. When the offering bag comes by, put a blessing in it. Some of us give once a month, some of us give electronically, but we all can give a blessing when it comes by. Okay? Our love offering blessing today is about giving as the presence of God, giving as source. That's a little edgy. That's a little outrageous to some people. But that's the truth. We give as source. We give as the presence of God. Gratefully, graciously, generously. Our love offering blessing is I give joyfully and easily as the presence of God. Abundance is my nature. Let's declare that together. I give joyfully and easily as the presence of God. Abundance is my nature. So it is.
Everything I need to know about what lies before me. Everything I need to know about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me through the mind of God within me. Everything I need to be at peace about what lies before me. Everything I need to be at peace about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me through the mind of God within me. Everything I need to know about what lies before me. Everything I need to know about what lies before me is available to me, is available to me through the mind of God within me, through the mind of God within me, through the mind of God within me.
It's been called to my attention that some people have been celebrating birthdays this month. Let's see. April. What astrological sign is that? Aries. Aries and Taurus. Aries for the first 2/3 and then Taurus at the end. Okay, well, some churches have birthday parties, astrological birthday parties. We're going to celebrate all the Aries today. Well, today we're going to celebrate the Aries and some of the Taurians from April. Who's got an April birthday? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, who do you know with an April birthday? Oh, I know some people. Yeah, right? So, How about one chorus, fast? Happy birthday.
And God loves you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andy Tara. Happy birthday to you. God is blessing you now. Yes. Okay. Happy birthday. All right. In just a few minutes, we're going to have a meeting of the anybody that's interested in the search process, the Unity Bloomington, finding and inviting its next right minister. Forget about that April 16th thing. So we're going to have an orientation about how it's going to work. We're going to clarify who the organizing team is. So this is open to everybody. I guess you should be a member. It's open to everybody to give their opinion. I guess to be on the coordinating team, you should be a member. But it's going to be inclusive because the community is going to evaluate and select its next right minister. So stay for that. Next week, what's this? Oh.
Surprise!
Nah. Yeah. Stay after the service for a short reception. Yeah. Okay. All right. It's important to do goodbyes. It's important to acknowledge endings. And so we're going to do that next week. Okay? The following week is a special service for Beltane, I think, which is a cross-quarter day that Wendy Wonderly is going to be leading, followed by a fire ceremony. Okay, is that all of the announcements? So that leaves the prayer for protection and the peace song. Let's do that in a circle. Okay, so let's form the... Yep, coming together. Any second now. Feel that? There's an energy when we connect here. We're going to share that energy with Somalia, Ukraine, Russia. People in pain, people celebrating. So share that with people that we know, have known, people that are still coming. That's us. Us in this room, us in this world, us in this universe. We declare these words together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.